welcome to today's Hurricane Outlook and discussion recorded on the 6th of June 2021. Today we're going to be looking at Invest 92E that has a high chance of developing over the next 48 hours, but its environment is becoming more and more unfavourable. We're also going to be looking at the other area of interest that the NHC has marked as a moderate chance of developing over the next 5 days. Taking a look at the sea surface temperatures across the Western Atlantic and some of the Eastern Pacific Ocean, we can say that the Eastern Pacific is well in the range of supporting tropical cyclone activity, and the Western Atlantic is well in the range of supporting tropical cyclone activity as well. Over the past couple of weeks, we've seen that the Gulf of Mexico has been below average, and now we are seeing temperatures rise to around average for this time of year, with the Gulf of Mexico now sitting at 27 degrees Celsius. Looking at the upper ocean heat content map for reference, if you don't know what this is the amount of energy that's stored in the water of heat that the tropical cyclones can use. So anything across into this line across to the right is more than enough to support tropical cyclone activity. If we take a look at the NGF model for the area of interest that the NHC are highlighting of a moderate chance developing over the next 5 days, we can see as we move into around, Tuesday, we can see that we are getting a broad rotation of energy, and this is what's known as a Central American gyre that sets up across Central America, and this can produce a lot of heavy rainfall, mudslides, and damage to property and life. So we'll have to keep an eye on this, as well as any potential tropical cyclone activity occurring over the next 5 to 10 days. As we move out into Tuesday, we can see that there's more compact area of vorticity in the Eastern Pacific. For reference, anything up here is higher vorticity, and anything down here is lower vorticity. As we move out in time to Wednesday, we can see that this is becoming more and more compact and more organized, and we got one isobar here closed, so that means it could be a closed low or a surface low that's nearly closed. And moving on in time, as we go into Thursday, we can see this is a quick developing small system that sometimes small systems can develop really quick as they venture their way over warm water like the Eastern Pacific has. So by Thursday, we've already got a well-developed system that's now approaching the Central America coastline, where impacts would be felt from this system impacting Central America. By Friday, we can see that it's now well-defined and could be possibly coming on the edge of a hurricane status. As we move out in time, we can see that it starts to turn east, northeast, as the Central American gyre has developed this system, and now this system wants to move north and then come eastwards and impact Central American coastline. So as we look as the GFS 850 millibar geopotential height, we can see that the system starts down in this near Central America to the south, moves north, and then comes in eastward and moves over into Central America, and quickly dies off from moving over mountainous terrain, where mountainous terrain can disrupt the low center, the surface low, and basically just destroy any system that tries to move over. Unfortunately, did not do the same for Laura last year when it moved over some mountainous terrain in the Dominican Republic, and unfortunately did not as weaken as much as people had hoped. So moving back to this area of moderate chance of developing, we can see that it dies off in over Central America's mountainous terrain, but this is its leftover vorticity starts to venture its way into the southern Gulf of Mexico, and as we see in the GFS, as we move out into Tuesday, we can see that we've got some relatively broad rotation of energy still over some of Central America and the Yucatan Peninsula. Just the Yucatan, sorry. Moving out in time, we can see that nothing really develops on this particular run, but on I can definitely tell you on the 0Z, the 6Z run, we did have a hurricane sitting over the Yucatan Peninsula in this area, but that's one single run, and this is like 10 days out now, nearly 10 days out, so we can't exactly say that there's going to be a hurricane in this area. But what is interesting, that the energy over that was moving over Central America into the Yucatan. Some of the leftover energy had been left in the Eastern Pacific, and this system would have to keep an eye out for any system in this area. But this is like beyond 10 days, so much uncertainty because we don't even know where the leftover energy of any system that forms out here will do after it moves inland, if it moves inland. We're still a couple of days out from knowing if anything will form, and we'll know closer to next week. Next week's tomorrow. Anyway, from Tuesday onwards, we probably will get some more idea of where or if something will develop off of Central American Gyre to the south of Central America and moves north. We'll get more data and analysis from that over the next couple of days. So we'll have to keep an eye out for this. The ECM, the Euro model, has the same depiction, but it's later to develop any system in the Eastern Pacific. If I take us to Tuesday, it's not as bullish as the GFS is suggesting of like a strong tropical cyclone, but it's more broad and slightly more um, slightly more concentrated energy to the south, but nothing like this GFS model is suggesting. But if we move out in time to 240 hours, we can still see the same picture of what the GFS is suggesting. A storm, or potential storm, forming in the south of Central America, moving north, and then coming over in Central America and moving across the Yucatan, and the leftover energy sitting over Yucatan and Central America. So we'll have to keep an eye out for the Gulf of Mexico, the Western Caribbean, and the Eastern Pacific still, because this energy that left over here could also develop in the Eastern Pacific and create another tropical cyclone, and I'm not knowing the next tropical cyclone name in the Eastern Pacific, so that's unfortunate. Anyway, taking a look at the the 200 millibar wind high up in the atmosphere, we can see how as we move through time, there is a anticyclone sitting over a portion of South Mexico, and over time that will be migrating itself kind of further up into Mexico, and then me coming just moving away, and then another potential anticyclone starting to set itself in the Western Caribbean, and this is in the time range of where we could be seeing that leftover energy from any storm that forms down here, moving up and over the Yucatan Peninsula. If I carry on time, we can start to see that if any system does want to form here, it's got favourable conditions, as not much wind shear is present. There is some wind shear, but we would have to see if a system is down here, further north, where it could be starting to get some easterly wind shear, or if it's further south, where it could be getting some less wind shear, but not as strong as the wind shear to the north of the anticyclone. If we carry out moving out in time, we can see that this anticyclone only gets more kind of established and moves to the center into the Gulf of Mexico, where any system in this area would have favorable conditions. So taking a look at the ensemble groups, if we take a look at the Euro model, we can see if we move out in time, these are all different runs with different factors and different ways of calculating each solution. And as we can see, the models are in agreement that we could have something in the Eastern Pacific as well as the Western Pacific. Not the Western Pacific, the Western Atlantic, sorry. Well, not in the Western Pacific. Anyway, carrying on in time, we can see that it's the same broad kind of model agreement from the Euro and the GFS that something will be forming rather in the Western Atlantic, the Eastern Pacific, and the Gulf of Mexico, where they'd have to be on a watch out if if any system would to develop, it would definitely be making landfall or having impacts to the Gulf Coast. If I carry on moving out in time, we can see that there are some suggestions of like a below 1000 millibar pressure and some higher than 1000 millibars. So, like I said, it's long time out. We need to be waiting and being more patient before we start making a judgment call on who's going to get impacts, if someone's going to get impacts, if a storm will develop, if a storm won't develop. Anyway, taking a look at the Nino 3.4 index, I did want to show you this because what's been happening, we've had a few westerly bursts over the past couple of weeks, and that would help to warm the Eastern Pacific equatorial region. But over the next couple of weeks, we are going to be seeing some easterly wind events happening. So I expect these temperatures to fall a little bit over the next coming weeks. So I'll have to come back to this over the next couple of weeks and showing you the all interesting and important factors of the Nino 3.4 index, as El Niño means more favorable conditions in the Atlantic basin for more tropical cyclone activity. That's all for today's video. I'll have another one tomorrow.